Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people, and Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Relentless and Unstoppable, and today we have Saara Lamberg with us. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm really good. How are you?
Doing good. Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
That's nice. Have you lived there your whole life, or where are you originally from?
Not at all. So I grew up in Finland, and then I did some studying in England, and I've been here for about 13 years now.
Ah, pretty cool. Glad to hear that. They're really great countries, don't you think?
They're all different. I think every country has got good things and bad things about it, and somehow you just find your people, and I think that's what makes the country.
Yeah, for sure. So what was your upbringing like in Finland?
Oh, that is the big question. Some of it good, some of it bad. Grew up in somewhat of a loving family, somewhat of a dysfunctional family, and I think that made it that made my life path as an artist sort of decided for me. So my mother was very supportive of my arts practice and brought me to theater and singing and things like that very early on in life. Whereas the rest of the family were not necessarily art-oriented at all. They just loved sport, like my dad and my sister. But yeah, I always had something in common with mum, and that was really nice. Gave me sort of a lot of content to my life very early on and ways of expressing myself. I was quite an introverted child in some ways, but then theater and writing and expressing myself in that way gave me sort of an opportunity to really be myself and express myself in ways that I needed.
So theater helped with that, you said?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all sorts of art, really. I think I was quite free to explore different art forms quite early on. And yeah, I guess I found acting quite early on very natural for me. That was one of the most natural ways of expressing myself. But there was music too. There was visual arts. There was writing. Always have loved writing. Started writing poetry very early on, and some screenplay. Not screenplays at that point. Plays, school plays. I wrote some, and yeah, it sort of built up from there. From the ability to be able to mix and match different art forms and sort of explore which ways worked best for me.
Okay. What plays have you been in?
Multiple. So I remember the first one was something I wrote for school. I don't remember it very well, but I would have been 10 or 11 or something, and it was performed for the entire school for like a Christmas or spring celebration or something like that. And I remember that being already quite controversial. There were some roles such as prostitutes and things like that, and I remember just being able to just express things that I needed to express, and teacher being very supportive of that. And then I think some parents may have thought it was a little bit too controversial, the play, but yeah, others enjoyed it.
Who'd you play as?
Honestly, I can't remember. I think I would have played the main part.
Yeah, of course. You wrote it, so you would know the character by heart for sure.
Yeah, that was such a long time ago. But since then, several different plays. I was in, so some of my earliest memories were actually Shakespeare, because my mother was an actor in a company that did Shakespeare plays, and I went along to their rehearsals as, I think I was 7, and I was just a bratty child, too noisy, too much energy in the rehearsal. And I think the director just decided that if they put me in the play, that would be the best way of channeling my energy. And so I got my first role in, I think it was The Tempest by Shakespeare. And it was very exciting for a 7-year-old me. I didn't understand any of the language because it's Shakespeare. It's so grown-up language, but with my 7-year-old mind, I just remembered everyone's lines. So I became really useful as a prompter, because I didn't only remember my own lines. If anyone else forgot their line, I just remembered it. I don't know how, and then I was able to prompt them. So that was my early introduction to doing theatre, was a few summers of Shakespeare plays. And then later on became much more interested in contemporary and devised theatre. And that's what I studied in UK, was devised theatre. And in Finland, I studied media production, camera work, film work. And then later in life, sort of put those things together, the acting and the film and production work, and started making films. And look, I still do a play occasionally. I still do some live performance in stand-up, in poetry, but my love is in film. I love screen. I just love the ability to be so close to a face and the eyes. And I feel like that's the most challenging and most authentic way of acting. Because on stage, there's this separation because the audience is so far. But with film, there's almost like no separation because the camera can be right there, and it can be, for me, that's the most authentic way of being able to tell a story.
Yeah, for sure. So you're in stand-up comedy, you said?
I do some of that too, yeah. Yeah, so I guess my stand-up is mainly quite dark and sort of self-deprecating.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah. So, what struggles did you overcome? Because you mentioned dysfunctional household. So, what was that like, and what other struggles did you overcome?
Yeah, there was just I guess sort of dealing with a parent that was emotionally quite unstable. I want to say unpredictable. And dealing with grandparents that were drinking. That was their coping mechanism in life, getting through life. And particularly my grandmother that lived next door was quite often drunk, and I saw that quite early on. And yeah, it was challenging. And I think my mum made the right choice in that I was allowed to see it. I wasn't sort of sheltered from it. It was just something that I was able to observe from quite early on and see how that kind of addiction can just destroy your life. And yeah, I'm sure there were some fairly complex emotional and mental health issues related to it. And yeah, later when I was a teenager, unfortunately, the mother that had been the core support in the family and the person that supported me in the arts and generally just a very wholesome human being, got an early onset dementia. So that became one of the biggest challenges of my life. Something I think I will always recover from. Yeah, because it was such a long illness. It took about 17 years before she actually died. But a lot of that time, she was basically a bed patient, unable to do anything for herself. Yeah, that was, or unable to communicate in any way or form. So that was really tough.
Really sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I guess, oh yeah, there was my own cancer. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, I had a cancer a few years ago.
Yeah, what was that like, and what kind of cancer was it?
So I had a breast cancer, and it's not a walk in the park. I guess, again, because I was young, I was able to get through the treatments without too much. I was still able to do some things. I was still able to I got cast in a production, like a large opera production, as an actor on the same day as I came out of one of my cancer surgeries. And then during chemotherapy, I was a part of that production, and it was a highly physical production, a lot of dancing, a lot of just, yeah. I think everyone else that was cast in that role was like an acrobatic, and I was an actor. I was like, how did I even get it? But yeah, so I was able to still do some things that I enjoy professionally. I was filming my latest film called The Lies We Tell Ourselves, and I incorporated my cancer journey in that film. So yeah, I shot some scenes at chemotherapy, getting chemotherapy, having the poison run through my veins, and I was just directing, like, camera, no, get a better camera angle, no, get it from that direction, make sure it's in focus, like directing and getting chemotherapy, which was a different kind of an experience. But yeah, I guess I'm just quite keen on trying to use the arts as a coping mechanism. And for the last year or so, I haven't had any alcohol whatsoever. I even stopped coffee. Like, I don't have any coping mechanisms left. It's just the art, so I need to use it.